Welcome to the FI Guys and FI Friday feedback, where we debunk financial independence myths and empower you with the knowledge to navigate your financial future.
Yeah, it's going to be a good podcast today.
It's always a good podcast on Fridays.
Always a good podcast on a Friday.
It's always a good podcast in general. We are some of the best podcasters I've ever heard.
Exactly. Like, don't let the comments get to you. Don't let the comments get to you. You know who you are. No, okay, anyway. But like we were saying, what did we talk about today?
Today, on Monday we talked about different financial myths, like FI myths, if you will, that are really leading people astray on their path to financial freedom. Because I think if you have the wrong thought in your mind as you're trying to achieve financial independence, the moment that you hit that first wall or that first little screw up, you're really going to be like, oh, is this even worth it for me? Is this the right thing for me?
Yeah.
Which I totally understand. So I think today we should talk about that and say, here's some myths, let's talk about it.
Definitely. And I know there was two main myths that we were going to be breaking down today about early retirement, and that is you won't have insurance and you can't retire early with kids.
Yep. Yeah, that's going to be a portion of what we talk about. So I said we talk about those. Want to talk about that first off, and then we can kind of kick off the review of what we talked about last time?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. So the first one is you won't have insurance when you, quote unquote, go financially independent.
Because you won't have your job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there is quite a bit of truth to that one.
Yeah.
Here in America, retiring early, it's going to be quite difficult once you decide that I am going to be financially independent to figure out how am I going to do insurance. So let me just tell you what me and my wife did. I did not decide to go financially independent and basically retire early until my wife had a job that would be able to put me on there as a beneficiary on her insurance. Yep.
That's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, that was the only way because, again, insurance here in America is not easy.
It's a little bit expensive.
Yeah, it's a lot of bit expensive.
It's a lot of bit expensive.
It's a lot of bit expensive,
yeah. Yeah, we got to figure out. Yeah, we need a solution for that.
Yeah, we do.
Next podcast, insurance. Maybe not. Anyway.
We've already talked about insurance.
We did, yeah.
But there are different ways to do it in case you are not married with a spouse. So you can always go on Cobra, but Cobra normally costs like $300 a month. You can only stay on that for a year typically. So imagine adding that into your financial independence number. Now we're talking about an additional $3,600 a year. There are additional plans you can purchase. A plan that I've considered using before, they're not like true insurance plans, but they're kind of like purchase plans where you purchase in with, usually they're with a sect of like a religion where everyone kind of like pays into this bucket. And if something goes wrong, that everyone will pay out for each other. So I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, probably not a great way of doing it. But really, when it comes to insurance, like you're going to have to just end up paying a lot of money. That's the reason I really like Baristafy, or Baristafy, basically where you reach a level of financial independence where you have enough money to one day retire and like enough money to live off your like ideal life, but you still get a job that's a very easy job and a job that you enjoy doing, like working at a barista at like a Starbucks or something, if that's your thing, to like talk to people and whatnot. Or maybe working at like Cabela's or something like that, where you're just making enough money, but by working just that part-time job, 32 hours, I think in most states, it allows you to get access to insurance.
Interesting.
Yeah, because unfortunately, insurance is one of the difficult ones until we're able to reach the age of Medicare and Medicaid, which is in your 60s. So if you're retiring in your 30s, you have 30 years that you have to bridge that gap.
Yeah, I got a long way to go.
Yeah, so the best way is, if you're like me, you can have a spouse that's going to continue to work because she's a doctor and there's no way that she's going to just stop working anytime soon and be on her plan.
Yeah.
Or you can work a little bit of time of a job and kind of do it that way.
Definitely.
Next myth, I can retire early if I have kids.
If you have kids, yeah.
If I have kids, I can't retire early. That's why my first child's middle name is Mistake.
Good Lord. I thought you were going to say Dinero.
Dinero works too.
That works too. I don't know. Mistake, that's rough. That's really rough. What's the M stand for? No, we don't talk
about that. It's Michael.
Yeah. You can retire early with kids.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it's not more challenging.
Well, let's just, I just want to set the scene real quick. How many kids are we talking?
Okay.
Yeah. Quick. I have 8 kids. What do you mean I can retire early? It's like, 8 kids, a lot of damn kids.
Yeah, that's a lot of kids. It's a lot of mouths to fit. I would say
It's a lot of humans.
it's going to depend on you and how much money you brought in and all that stuff. But, obviously if you have less kids, that's less mouths to feed. But I don't think that kids cost as much as most people believe they do. Kids are expensive. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But the biggest reason that kids are expensive is because of childcare and stuff like that and having to care for them that way. But if you're able to call yourself financially independent and no longer have to go to a job to work, you no longer, by definition, need childcare. Because you are there to be the care for the child.
Childcare is very expensive.
It is very expensive. And then
It's like a car payment. It's a house payment.
Yeah, well, I was once working with a lady when I was at my sales job, and her entire job, and she was making probably like $80,000 a year, was getting eaten up by the cost of putting her 2 kids in daycare.
Oof.
So she actually decided, like with my help at the time before I was an advisor, to quit working because she was actually going to save money by not working and not paying people to care for her kids.
And you get to spend time with your kids.
Yeah, that's the biggest
That's
thing,
the
right?
biggest
Is you get to more time with your family. And I think a lot of parents, the reason kids cost so much is because you feel bad that you're not spending time with your kids. So you go out and on the weekends you spend a lot of money like trying to here kids, here are presents, here's gifts, here are all these things. When all the kids really want is your presents, meaning your time, your dedication, not giving them gifts and stuff like that. So I think a lot of people say I can't retire early because I have kids and woe is me. But honestly, I think that's just really an excuse because kids cost money, yes, when they get injured and stuff like that. But given that you have insurance, which we just talked about, and that's going to be difficult, and given there's no major health things, kids can kind of cost as much as you want them to cost within reason. Yeah. Right. You have to feed them, you have to clothe them, you have to buy them enough things to survive. But you don't need to be dropping $1,000 a week on your kid. It's the same reason that people say oh, well, I can't keep my house clean because I have kids. But even before they had kids, their house is dirty. Your house is going to be dirty regardless.
That's so true. That's so true. Yeah.
I've met people like that where I can't have kids because I can't have a clean house. It's just a wreck because of the kids. And it's well, I was here 2 years ago before you had kids and it was a wreck. So I think you just have an excuse now, but
that's really true. That's a really good one. Damn. If anything, put the kids to work.
Yeah.
So these kids in there.
I think it kind of comes down like that. I can't retire early because I have kids. Well, you weren't going to retire early anyways because even before you had kids, you were spending all the money you had. Yeah. You're spending more than you make. Yeah. Now that you have kids, of course you're going to be spending more than you make. You have an additional expense, an additional mouth to feed. Mm-hmm. But having the kid does not mean that you can't retire. That is completely a myth.
Yeah. And kids are rewarding.
Oh yeah,
they're so rewarding. They're bro. Maybe one day there'll be a Five Guys Junior, little Dom Junior, Chris Junior.
Soon.
Hopefully not too soon for me.
For you.
For you, maybe yeah. For me, give a little time. Yeah.
But some of the myths that we brought up in the last podcast were, I will run out of money if I retire early. I will get bored if I retire early. I'll have to cut back my spending to an egregious amount if I retire early. I won't be able to socialize without a workplace. I won't have any purpose if I retire early. I'll get depressed. I have to save at least 50% of my income to retire early. And when I do retire early, I have achieved the key to happiness. Yeah. And I've made it. And I just get to live on a cloud for the rest of my life, which is great. So we walked through and we basically broke down every single one of those myths to show people that on this path of financial independence, it is a journey. But the biggest thing that we talked about on, I think, Monday is that the obstacle is the way and the journey is the fun part of this. Yep. Yeah. Achieving financial independence is just another day.
Yeah. It's no different from yesterday, except,
more money in the account.
More money in the account. Yeah. You got to change your mindset. Yep. You got to change your mindset. I think before you can be financially free, you must free yourself in the mind.
Interesting. Yeah. You're getting very philosophical there.
Sometimes, every now and again. What day is it? It's Friday? it makes sense.
Yeah. Today's Philosophy Fridays. Yeah. But I think a lot of it is, it's difficult, right? Because the day that you reach that number, you think that there's going to be this magic feeling. Mm-hmm. But that feeling doesn't really come. So that's why a lot of people, they get on this treadmill of once I reach this amount of money, I'll be happy and I'll be able to call myself financially independent. And they reach that magic number and that feeling didn't happen. They didn't I did it. So they're the issue must be that I set the wrong number and I need to achieve more. Mm-hmm. And then they stick on this hedonic treadmill for the rest of their life, never really realizing that the thing that they need to break isn't how much money they make or isn't a number on a spreadsheet. It's a feeling inside. It's a mindset shift, as to your point. So first thing we want to talk about is the FI timeline, myth versus reality.
Definitely. We discussed this a little bit, actually a lot of it last podcast on Monday, but I think it's super important to reiterate it again because it puts retirement in perspective and it puts it on a true timeline to where that we can actually like use it. Be like, oh, Chris, I want to retire in 30 years. It's like, do you? What's your plan?
Yeah.
What's your savings rate?
Yeah, and if you say like I want to retire in 30 years, okay, then are you willing to save around 30% of your income every year, every year?
And it's like, oh, yeah, I can do that. Yeah. So I could retire in 28 years or 30 years. You know?
And if you say yeah, but if you also say like no, I want to save like 5% of my income and blow 95% of it, but I still want to retire in 30 years.
Yeah.
Well, now our inputs are incorrect.
Yeah,
So like and that was the action step of last week, right? Is like actually make a realistic plan. I told you about that nurse person that I met with recently. Was like, I'm going to work for 3 years and I'm just going to be financially independent.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, that all sounds well and good, but the inputs are all completely incorrect. So like, how is that ever going to work out unless you're willing to live on $24,000 a year for the rest of your life? And obviously you have no assets, you have nothing at that point. You just have $25,000.
Yeah.
Which good luck even finding a place to rent for $25,000 a year.
No, I mean that's $2,000. It's like $2,000 a month, basically.
So yeah, you can probably get an apartment, but then like you eating out, like
insurance, food,
it'd be tight. Like,
it would be very tight.
Yeah.
And can you do it?
You probably have to get like a single room in like in like not a great state.
Yeah.
A very low cost.
$800 a month, maybe.
Yeah, $800 a month. And then
groceries $400, so we're at $1,200.
Where you're walking to the store, so no insurance. And then like in terms of like health insurance, I don't think you won't be able to afford that.
No, it's a couple hundred.
But if you're a nurse, I guess you could care for yourself.
Yeah, I've been shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So we'll just take it to two extremes. So if you save 5% of your income, that's going to mean you're going to have to work for 66 years to be able to call yourself financially independent with only 5%. Unfortunately, the general rule of thumb is you save 10% of your income.
That's horrible.
Which typically means, given that you don't have any raises and stuff like that, and obviously you will, but unfortunately, as you have more raises, most people's cost of living increases to match that raise, meaning you're going to have to work for 51 years on average. That's why most people don't retire until they're late 60s.
Yeah.
It's because they needed that amount of time to finally be able to retire. And really, retirement is supposed to be a three-legged stool, right? There's how much money you have from your investments, there's how much money you have in your savings, and then there's your Social Security.
Yep.
But most people are just on a one-legged stool where it's all on Social Security.
Yeah, and that leg's going to get kicked out from underneath them if they ever get rid of Social Security.
I think that at that point we're just catastrophizing. Like, I see no reason that Social Security, and I've done quite a bit of deep diving into this, that Social Security is going to get cut, especially for people in like their 50s and stuff. Like, it's funny. Every like 50-year-old says like, oh, Social Security is going to be cut. I'm not going to have it. Yes, you will. Our generation, I think worst case scenario, take your Social Security, what you expect, cut it by 30%.
Yeah.
You're probably going to get about 70% of what you should get.
Yeah.
So if you expect that, but here in the financial independence community, what I do is I don't even plan for Social Security at all. That's just a bonus on top.
It's a bonus. That's the only way you can use it. Yeah. Yeah. Don't count on something you can't rely on.
Yeah. And then if you take it to the other extreme, if we're able to save 95%, so instead of saving 5%, we're saving 95%.
So we're spending 5% a year.
Yeah, we're spending 5% of our income. Yeah. Highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely.
But if that is the other extreme, we only have to work for just under 2 years to call ourselves financially independent.
But we could work more.
Yeah, we could. Of course you can work more.
Yeah.
And then on average, I think a lot of people, they say, in order to call myself part of the FI club, I need to save at least 50% of my income, which would put you at FI in about 17 years, which is pretty normal. People who are normally pursuing FI, they usually retire in their 30s because they started in their 20s.
Yeah.
But whatever, that also means that they started, they had a perfect setting. They left school and they went directly into financial independence. They discovered this early.
Yep.
If that's not you, if you're listening to this, you're like, oh, I've screwed up. I have debt, I have all these things. It's okay. We've dug a hole a little bit. The best thing we can do now is start to get out of that hole. Yeah. The best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The next best time is right now.
Yep. Bingo.
And you can get better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a easy to understand reference. I love that. Let's talk a little bit more on our next topic. Are we ready to move on? Cool. Passive income. That's something everybody wants. but really nobody has, because passive income doesn't exist. True passive income, right? Now, you could make a case for dividend stocks, stuff like that, which would be probably the most passive.
Yes.
Right? But in regards to like real estate, we talked a lot about last podcast and it being semi-passive. And you still have to manage things. You still have to, if you don't have a property manager, you have to, deal with the tenants yourself, contractors, all that fun stuff, tenant lease agreements. But even if you have a property manager, you have to manage the managers, like anybody would do. What's some more myths on passive income?
I think the biggest thing about passive income is people think it's supposed to be easy.
Yeah.
All of passive income, including investing in stocks, isn't easy because you have to at some point automate all of that stuff. You have to choose where you're going to invest it. You have to choose to make the decision of the money isn't coming to me to spend today at whatever I want to do. I want to invest it. If you want to own real estate, you have to make choices. You have to go out and put down a down payment. You have to find tenants. You have to manage the toilets, the trash, all that stuff. Even starting a business, all of that. Like, these are all like things that people call passive income, but all of them have huge upfront costs that you need to subsidize with either money or, more likely for people in FI, with your time. And that time is huge. It's going to take a lot of time. So there is no true passive income because you have to put something in at the beginning for that flywheel to start. And sometimes that flywheel can take a long time and it may never even begin to kick off.
Yeah,
Money.
that's true. That's so true. And the thing is, like, getting in with like our next topic, the silent killer of lifestyle inflation, passive income can only, grow so much. Doesn't usually grow 30% every year, anything like that. But you can grow your lifestyle inflation 30% really fast.
If not faster.
If not faster, new cars, new payments. And in today's era with the subscription model, everything is, it's cheaper because it's on a subscription model. It's like, but if I have 20 subscriptions, everything is expensive. My insurance is a subscription. My Netflix is a subscription.
And the hard part about a subscription is that you've added that into your life, and now it's not just a one-time expense where you just pay for it once and like you can get it out of your FI number. You need to calculate that $8 into your FI number as well.
Compounded over your life.
And it's also raising.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. So that, it really is a silent killer in that, just like you said. And that, I think that's another key point that people, when they're coming up with their financial plans in their minds, they also assume that like, I'm going to get a rate of return with my money of 30 to 50% every year, if not 100% every year.
Crazy.
And that's what a lot of people, that's what I think I'm going to get. But you should always plan for the worst and hope for the best. So that's why my rate of return that I put for my accounts is 7%. The lowest that I think it's going to be is 7. Like that's the highest I think it's going to be is 7%.
The highest. Yeah.
And that's what I plan. And that's in my financial plans. I plan for 7% because that's the worst of the market's returned.
Yeah.
And typically it's going to be higher than that. But if I plan for the worst and set myself up for the best, then that's going to be great. But yeah, lifestyle inflation is terrible because unfortunately what happens with most people is as they make more money, they begin to spend more money. And that's just Parkinson's law. As however much time you dedicate to something. Think about when you were in school. If you had a week to do an assignment, it's going to take you a week to do that assignment because you're basically going to neglect the assignment till the night
Day
before.
7, yeah.
Day 7 and get it done. But if I was to tell you on Sunday that this assignment is due on Monday, you're going to get it done. It's going to allot the same amount of time.
That's true.
So it's the same thing with money. If you're not conscious of it and you're not thinking about it, if you get a $20,000 raise, well, your budget's going to absorb that $20,000.
Yeah.
And now it's like you didn't even make a raise because your lifestyle, of course you added something into your life, which is fun, but you're not getting yourself to financial independence.
Yeah. You got things, but you didn't get peace. Unless the things that you brought peace. But for us on our financial podcast, our goal is to get financially independent.
It's to get to FI.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about, investments. Again, getting back to that and some of the misconceptions about that. A lot of people, sometimes they want that, we talked a little bit, like the high risk, all reward, no downside, that's not how it goes.
Yeah, and that's where it comes down to like setting realistic expectations. Like I just said a second ago, many people they think like, oh, my returns in my portfolio is going to give me an average of 40% a year.
Yeah.
Because that happened like one time for like a week.
Yeah, it happened one time when the lockdown was lifted.
Yeah, and then it went up 40%. So like that's the number that I'm going to anchor to, is I'm going to get 40% every time. And then I have to be 100% in like the most aggressive, high risk investments, all in one stock. Like it all needs to be in Tesla, because at one time I had Tesla and it went up a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they just don't think about having variability in their investment allocations. So many people think it has to be
all or nothing.
Yeah. If I am pursuing FI, I need to be a passive index investor, or I need to be a real estate investor, or I need to own my own business, or I need to do this. And it's or. Where I'm here to say it can be and.
Yes.
You should, especially on your path to financial independence, try to have multiple income streams, because that's what really sets you up for strength.
Yes.
Because if one business venture fails, or if stocks go down 30%, it's okay. My real estate's okay. My real estate messes up. It's okay. My business is doing fine. And if my business isn't doing great, it's okay. My stocks are doing good.
Yeah.
So there's always these different levers that we can pull on to bring in additional income. But again, none of it's passive, because all of it takes work. And that is the kind of key to life, is that mindset shift of this should be easy to this is not easy, and I'm okay with that.
Bingo.
Yeah, none of this is going to be easy, and I'm okay with that. I can't I can't affect what the world is going to do, but I can affect how I'm going to react to it.
Bingo. Yeah. I think that's a solid reality check. I think that's a really good reality check. Speaking on reality checks, there's a lot of, I think you need a reality check if you want to retire early.
Yeah, I would say so, for sure.
You definitely don't want to just like wing it. And I know a lot of people in my generation, I mean, actually in every generation.
Every generation, yeah.
Yeah, they just want to wing it. They throw caution to the wind. They hope, and hope is not a strategy.
Yep.
Hope is just not a strategy, unfortunately. And, the realities are often overlooked. But if you don't plan, then you're going to fail. This is not something that we can just wing it. This is not something we can just hope for the best.
Yeah.
You're gambling with your life, your retirement, your peace. It's going to feel really bad when you hit retirement age and everybody's retired and you're not retired.
Yeah, so that's one of the hard parts. That's what's often overlooked, is someone having to come to the true realities of what is in their life and what choices they made, the kind of job they have, how much money they're bringing in, how much money they're going out, and then what they're investing in, if they're investing money at all. Yeah. And it's so much easier for people to rather blame others. So like, I'm not making enough money, and that's because the man's trying to keep me down.
Yeah.
Or I'm spending too much money, and it's because my parents didn't teach me how to manage my money.
Yep.
Well, it comes down to you taking control of yourself. We've given you the key to success. It's make more money, spend less money, invest the difference.
Yeah.
And the money that you invest is going to make you more money and add more to, our A, if this is an equation, how much money we're bringing in. It doesn't mean that you want to spend the money. You want to reinvest it back into C and allow it to continue to grow and grow and grow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And talking a little bit about budgeting, that can be a scary thing too, because you got to budget in order to plan for retirement, but we don't really like the word budget.
No, I think budget's too constrictive. It's saying like, rather than having fun, you have to hold yourself back. So rather than budgeting, I like to come up with a spending plan.
Yeah.
Of saying, and with budgeting, you can fail.
Yeah.
Like you either save the money you wanted to, or not spend as much money as you wanted to, or you spent over it and you failed.
Yes.
With a spending plan saying, I get to spend this much money in these things. If you spend over that, that's not really a failure. It just is. It's all it is a reframe in your mind of looking at it a different way.
I really like the spending plan way better than the budget plan. I think it's a better way to allocate funds. I think it's way better.
Yep. So you have that conscious spending plan that you've done before, and then you also combine that with your spending tracking. You get to look and say, like, this is how much I want to allocate towards things, but this is how much I actually did. Am I okay with that? Should I change the budget? And if you want to change the budget, that's fine. Just remember, anything you take from one place or add from one place needs to be taken away from somewhere else.
Yeah. 100%.
If you want to go for financial independence and want to still be able to save a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's important. I think that's really important. It goes from like, oh, I can only spend X amount of dollars to I get to spend this amount of dollars. And I like that. I definitely like that. And I think that's part of the truth about financial sacrifices for FI is that there has to be balance in every decision. There really, like you said, there can't be. It's like a seesaw.
It is a seesaw.
You know, you put too much in this one, the other one goes up. You put too much on this one, the other one goes up. Yeah. It's a give and take.
That's the hard part about it, right? It's finding that balance, that middle path is extremely difficult because that middle path is constantly changing and it is different from individual to individual. It's different from individual on day to day, like depending on what is the most important thing to you.
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
Yeah, so there are always sacrifices, right? There's always going to be a sacrifice in the choices that you decide to make. If I want to have fun today, then that means by definition I'm giving up, a little bit of financial independence. But also, if I want financial independence and I'm going to forgo today, that's also difficult. So that's where finding the middle path of being able to do what you want today while also saving for your future is so hard to find, but it is out there. But what's right for you is going to be different from me. That's different from Dom.
Absolutely. And there's definitely is a mental aspect to it as well. It's not just all in the finance. It's not just all in the finance apps, in the investments and stuff. It's a psychological choice to be better at money and to choose a path. It's I don't know. It's not to be forgotten that this is you're making choices mentally for your mental health. Because if you're to work your whole life and die, and say you work till you're 90 and you die at 91, that's not the life I choose to live. And it's important to choose the life you want to live, because if you don't, someone else is going to choose the life you want to live, and they're going to force it on you, and you're not going to like the choice.
Yeah. And that's the reason that I pursued financial independence so hard, was I did not like being told by my job, this is what you must do in order for us to keep you around. Yeah. I truly think that one of the best ways to grow wealth is to own your own business and be in control of your own time. In addition to that, have assets that are accumulating for you, money while you're sleeping, and then focus on desiring less rather than more.
Yeah,
like that's my game. That's the game that I try to play. But that does not mean that it has to be your game or our viewers' game. They could have a different game entirely. But another big thing with FI and mental health is, we've talked about it a little bit earlier, like when a lot of people achieve FI, they end up going into depression or they end up getting bored, and they realize that it wasn't the FI that I was going after. It was meaningful connections with other people. Yeah. And that's the hard part about FI, when you do work alone or when you're all these things. But when you achieve FI, it's not going to bring you joy, but it does give you the ability to go out and do what you want. But you need to be that person that goes out and actually does it. Yeah. So you don't have to be a lonely in FI. You can go out and go to jiu-jitsu like I do, or make friends, give back to the community, start a podcast where you can teach people about how to achieve the things that you've achieved. Yeah. There's so many different aspects, especially nowadays with the advent of social media, to be able to create meaningful connections with people. Yeah. But I would still say that the best kind of connections aren't ones made online, they're made in person.
100%. And I would say also encourage your friends. Encourage your friends, your family, your mom, your dad, everyone to become financially independent. Because there's nothing more sad than becoming financially independent, say 30, 35, 40, 50. And it's like, hey, Chris, this new cruise ship just came about, the Icon of the Sea, and it's going all over. It's crazy. I love it. I would love for you to come. Let's go on a cruise together. You and your wife and, me and my family.
Sorry, bro, I got to work.
Exactly. It's just like, oh, well, that's a killjoy.
That's disappointing.
That sucks. Why weren't you better at finance? You had all the tools in the world. You had the access to the internet, unlimited information, yet you refused to act. And now you're caught with, you've been exposed,
Yeah, but remember, everyone's game is a little different, right?
Everybody's
so your game is to be financially independent, but my game was to work and to have other things. I'm totally good with that. Yeah. My biggest thing is that it's a conscious decision.
Yeah.
But yes, if you want to bring more people along by telling them about the FI guys and have them join us on this journey to financial independence, I think you can go farther together than you can alone.
Absolutely. What was last week's action step?
Last week's action step was, now that we actually have a realistic idea as to what financial independence means, we kind of dispelled some of the myths, is actually to assess your current financial situation and set realistic goals for yourself for achieving FI. So what that means is you're actually going to have to get a good inventory of your assets, your liabilities, your investments, and then all of your debts.
Yeah.
And then see like, where are we on this path to FI? Are we super far away? Are we getting close? And whatever the truth is the truth. But so many people stick their heads in the sand rather than actually looking at where they are on their path to financial independence because they don't want to be wrong.
No.
Because in their mind, if they say, it's okay, I'm making $200,000 a year and I'm only spending $100,000 a year and my investments are getting 100% compounded every year, then I'm going to achieve financial independence in like 4 months.
Yeah.
But if they actually look at the reality and they're only making $100,000 a year and they're spending $120,000 a year and their investments are making 3% because they keep on trading and doing dumb things, well, every single input that we had are incorrect. So until we have, that's why I like data, like hard numbers. That's why I like my Elements app for working with my clients. Because so many people will tell me like, this is how much this is how much money we make, this is how much money we spend. Until we actually have accurate data, we can't really know. And I'll go off of you and I'll say like, yeah, you're probably right until I have real numbers. Yeah. Once I have real numbers, I've had this so many times with clients where they're like, oh yeah, we spend probably like $36,000 a year and we're making like $200,000 a year.
Those are those words I hate. We talked about this before. Probably and like.
Yeah, we're probably like this much. We're probably doing that.
Yeah.
So I think we're in a really good situation. And then I'll sit down with a client and we'll look at all the numbers. And I was like, okay, you told me you're spending $36,000 a year. Well, in this 1 month alone, you spent $15,000.
Yeah.
So
half of the budget.
You spent half the budget in 1 month. So is it more safe to say that you're spending like $250,000 a year?
You're spending a lot more than you think.
And like how much are you making? Well, we're making like 200,000. And you look at it, it's like, well, you're making like 180. So you're spending like all the inputs are incorrect. And until you're willing to like actually look at that and be safe. And this is where I don't want to call people unsophisticated, but that's where unsophisticated investors look at, is they look at their checking account and they say, my checking account every month is growing. But they're not looking at that their credit card balances are also growing, that their debt balances, because they're making minimum payments and everything else, is growing, that they have basically zero savings, zero investments. But it's okay because my checking account is up by $30 this month.
Yeah, bingo. Yeah. So for this week's action step, assess your current financial situation, set realistic goals, and join the conversation with the FI Guys community.
Boom.
Boom. With that being said, let's get into viewer mailbag.
Viewer mailbag time.
Viewer mailbag with the FI Guys. Anyway, alrighty. So this week on FI Friday Feedback, viewer mailbag. Did I screw myself out of getting a job forever?
Forever, ...
Forever. Howdy, FI Guys. Howdy. College grad here. Let's just say my journey wasn't your textbook straight A kind of deal. I chased a crazy entrepreneurial dream, built a business that actually made some serious bank. Over $250,000. No biggie. It's a big deal. But let's be real. My grades took a bit of a hit in the process. My GPA landed at a solid 2.55.
Passing.
It's passing, which sounds less impressive with every application I land. So, here's the catch. 22, proud entrepreneur with real life world experience and a healthy bank account, but also a transcript that wouldn't win any beauty contest. Oh, and did I mention that I skipped out on the whole internship thing? Because while I was building my business, it kind of took up a lot of time.
Yeah.
Now, I'm stuck in this weird limbo, wondering if employers will see me as the person I am or just the red flags of the GPA and toss my resume in the nope pile. My fear is that they will miss the whole point, and despite my grades and no fancy internship badge, I'm a hustler who knows how to build something from scratch and make it profitable. That's where you come in. No, we're not hiring. That's where you come in. You've probably seen all sorts of career paths in your time, and I'm hoping you can shed some light on how I can spin this unique situation into something awesome. How can I show off my entrepreneurial skills without my grades overshadowing everything? Any secret tips to convince them, or just some college dropout playing, to convince them that I'm not just some college dropout playing CEO? I love that. Seriously though, any advice, insights, or just a dose of career fairy dust would be a lifesaver. I'm eager to get into the career train, and I want it Now, your guidance would be like fuel to my engine. Thank you in advance for all of your wisdom and time. Cheers. From my grades took a dive, but my business thrived. Now I'm seeking a chance to enhance my career stance, but I'm worried I'll be left out of this dance. Love that.
All right. So we got a lot of things here, man. Or it's the guy. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
it's a guy.
It's a
Okay.
guy.
He's a guy. All right. So basically, it sounds like his biggest concern is that his GPA took a dive because he was growing his business.
Yes.
And he's afraid that business owners are going to look at that and be like, "Why is your GPA so bad?" We as business owners truly only care about GPA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I have many thoughts on college.
Yes.
Not positive thoughts on college.
As do I.
This is the thing that college people try to tell everyone, is that your GPA and your grades mean everything in the real world. But this is one thing that I like about the just freedom of knowledge now, is that we realize that GPAs and college degrees and all this stuff is basically worthless. It just means that you were able to show up long enough, get a degree, stick to a process, and kind of put yourself through something. And that's great. That is a good thing. But nowadays, skills get jobs.
Yeah.
Showing that you actually have legitimate skills, and you have the legitimate skills of a fucking entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And not only as an entrepreneur that kind of did stuff, you made $250,000.
$250,000.
$250,000 while also in college.
Yeah.
Now I know that your grades suffered while you're in college, and that is what it is. But let's just say, on average, you put in 16 hours a week into college to get your 2.55. Would you say that's fair? Probably.
Yeah.
About half of a full-time job.
Sure.
And you're able to bootstrap a business, a successful side business.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of any CEO or any business owner that if I was sitting across the table from a recent college grad and I had two applications, one in front of me of someone who did an internship and then had a 4.0 GPA versus another kid who also graduated, didn't do an internship. His internship was working and building his own successful business. And graduated as well. Maybe his GPA isn't as high. I understand there's only so much time in the day. I'm going to go with the person with real life experience, the dreamer that was actually able to make it happen 100% of the time.
Yeah.
And this is the biggest concern, is that so many people, especially when this college student, he has zero ability to detach from the situation to see what are people looking for, because every single teacher, his parents, everybody has told him the way that you make it in life is you work hard, you go to college, you do well in college, then you find a job that's going to pay you well, you work in it for 50 years, you pay off your debt, and then you die. Yeah. And that's fine if that's the path you just choose to go on, but there are now new paths that you can run for yourself.
Yeah. My question is, both of us are entrepreneurs, the guy here as well. Why doesn't he just continue working on the business?
I was going to get there, yeah.
Okay, because it's school's hard to manage. You know it, I know it, we've been there, we've done that. Kind of sucks for us. If you can balance the school part, which is a hellscape as is, and a business, which is a hellscape as is, and be profitable, really, really profitable, and pass. He passed.
Yeah, he definitely passed. He got C's. C's and B's, right? 2.5. C is a 2.0, right?
So it's not all A's, but hey, B's and C's, not bad.
Who cares if it's A's or B's?
Bro.
You have the degree.
Exactly.
He got the degree, right?
I think he got the degree. We'll assume he got the degree.
If he got 2.55, then he got the degree.
Yeah, I would assume so. I would honestly continue building up your business, building it up, and use that as proof of concept to show that I'm not a nobody. My GPA doesn't define me.
Nope.
How many other applicants do you have that have a $250,000 business?
Nope.
Built from scratch. In the middle of war, aka school.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that he was able to do that with 16 hours of his time dedicated to school. And he basically had a safety net underneath him. Imagine what he can do, because I'm sure his parents were supporting him through college or something. But now imagine what he can do when he doesn't have that safety net, when it is all on the line, and he has 100% of his time that he could dedicate to his business. Now, I would go the entrepreneur route if I were you, but if that's not right for you, if you say I want to go out and I want to build my skills and get a job and start that way, and then maybe go back to that later, I think that's also a really good option, because sometimes it is difficult for people to see the forest through the trees. And going and working for somebody is a great way to learn. So let's just go with this. You have practical experience.
Yeah.
Practical experience trumps GPA 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So what I would say on your resume, you don't need to put that you got a 2.55 GPA.
I wouldn't.
You just put that you graduated here, and then under your experiences, you put your experience of running your own freaking company and making it profitable. Talk about all the things that meant. If that means that you were, I don't know what you did for work, but I have to imagine you were making sales. You were meeting deadlines. You might have been managing people. All of these things are far more impressive to me as a business owner and hiring somebody than someone telling me that I had a 4.0 GPA.
100%.
Someone saying I have 4.0 GPA means that you're really good at taking tests, but that means literally nothing in business.
Yeah.
And being able to interact with human beings.
It's true. It's true.
So, and then I would also create proactively address the GPA. So like when you're in the interview, just tell them like, yeah, I see no reason to bring this up, but if they brought it up, like, why was your GPA so low? Just come up with a narrative. I was working hard building my business and doing this while also, I think this can even look even better. Most entrepreneurs drop out of college in order to pursue their business.
Yeah.
You pursued your business and you didn't drop out of college and you were able to keep it, able to still graduate.
Better than Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, better than Zuckerberg, better than Gates.
Yeah.
Like you were able to still do it, both of the things simultaneously. And now you have this real world experience. And so I think what we need to do is because you're saying like, oh, I missed the internships, I missed the GPA. In your mind, you need to reframe your self-employment as a strength. Mm-hmm. And I was like, the biggest strength, because most people do not have self-employment. Most people will never be self-employed.
No.
They will work a W-2 job for their entire life.
Yep. It's hard to make money from nothing.
Yep.
And he's done it.
Yep. So I would start working on crafting a compelling narrative. Mm-hmm. I'm going to guess that while you were working, you created a very strong network. So continue to network strategically in finding a job. Remember that at the end of the day, like you can always go back for additional credentials and stuff like that, but I don't think you need it based off that you were able to build a business while in college. And if you do start a job, everyone with a college degree, even those with high GPAs, all start out with pretty much entry-level jobs. The only people that don't are people that were able to do things like you did and create a business that is going to be viable in order to show people why you are better than entry-level job and should start at a higher level, or people that got like really good internships or something like that, or really connected really, really well and networked. Mm-hmm. That's what college is all about nowadays. It's just networking.
It really is.
So if you're going to seek a entry-level opportunity, again, now we're only going to be talking about your business and the entry-level opportunity. GPA has nothing to play at that point. So I think you're just hyper-focused on the GPA because your parents, school, your teachers all told you need to focus on your GPA because that's the most important thing in the world, when it really isn't. You have a unique career journey ahead of you, and I would push you to maybe look at, instead of working for others, if you kept that $250,000, which I hope you did, hope you didn't blow all of it on drinking and partying, you now have something that most people don't. You have seed capital to invest into your next business, or just keep the business that you have rolling and make it bigger. And it's already made $250,000 while in school. Mm-hmm. Let's imagine what you can do without school holding you back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, yeah, 100%. I think using your strengths as leverage to gain more power in your job, in a job interview, game over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of a reason that this could not look amazing. Like sitting across, like if I was
it's not a negative.
If I'm an HR representative, I'm looking at these resumes, like I'm choosing this person's resume over the person with the 4.0 in the internships.
100%.
But and also what I would tell you is like confidently pursue your opportunities, and like even if things don't work out with your current business, you know how to start a profitable business. So try again. Most people have 6 businesses that fails before they find the one that works.
It's true.
It sounds like you found one that worked immediately in college. I don't know how many you might have failed, but if you're doing it during school, I have to imagine you probably didn't fail or you would have given up.
Yeah.
Which most people do. So that's pretty awesome, dude. Keep it going. I'm sure we're going to hear big things from you in the future. Just don't worry about the GPA. You did not screw yourself in any way, shape, or form. This is going to be huge. You're going to definitely go really, really far. And if you want to, you can always reach out to me at Monzon Wealth. I'm not hiring anybody, but I'd be happy to put you into the right direction. Yeah, but if you want to become a financial advisor, I actually can't help you there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with that being said, we're going to wrap up our Five Friday feedback, and let's get on to the win of the week.
Win of the week. Do you want to start or you want me to start?
You start.
Okay. So this week, I actually had I had a lunch with one of my clients over the weekend in order to celebrate completing the final part of her puzzle pieces of achieving financial independence. So what that means is that this year in 2024, she gets to retire.
That's awesome.
And we've been able to figure out all the plan. And the plan was done so well that we actually found that she can retire a few months earlier than she planned to, if she so chooses to.
Let's go.
So, financial planning is very, very difficult. And I think a lot of people, as they're trying to figure out what they're going to do, they'll go around like asking advisors like, hey, how do I achieve financial independence, or how do I do these things? And most advisors are only focusing on the numbers. Well, how much money do you have? All these things. Well, I was focusing more with this client. I was like, what do you want to do in retirement? And when do you want to retire by? And I focused with the end in mind. Yeah. We were able to figure out a plan that got her to where she wanted to be, where she's going to have guaranteed income for the rest of her life that is actually higher than what her expenses are, because she knows what her expenses are. Yep. So she's going to be able to retire sooner than we thought possible. So we got to have an amazing lunch, and we got to sit there and talk about what she envisions for the next part of her life. Because like we talked about, to retire is to expire. And this client has an amazing rich life vision for what she sees for herself when she gets to retire. And I'm just so excited to have been able to be there and to continue to be there with her along for her journey into financial independence and beyond. It's going to be super, super fun. So those are the kind of things I live for. Like as a financial advisor, as a podcaster, as someone who's dedicated their life to helping other people when it comes to finances, being able to actually reach, quote unquote, the finish line. And this is not the end of her journey. No. This is just the next page.
It's a big chapter.
Yeah, this is the next, now we're going to move on to the next page of her journey and her chapters. But I was so happy to be able to get her to a point where she will be able to retire. And she's the one that did the journey, that did all the work.
She did the work.
Like, that's actually something I want to talk about, is that a lot of advisors, financial advisors, and if you're a financial advisor, like, listen to this. If you take nothing from me as a financial advisor coach, like, take this. Advisors, we all join the business, or most of us join the business to help other people. And we believe that we are the hero in other people's stories. But we are not the heroes. Every individual is the hero of their own story. You are nothing more than the guide. You're their Obi-Wan, you're their Dumbledore, you're their freaking Gandalf the Grey. But you are not Luke Skywalker, you are not Sam and Frodo, or I'd probably go Legolas, or like, I'd go Aragorn. I'd rather be Aragorn, and you're not Harry Potter. Like, that is who they are. Yeah. You are there to guide them along the journey. And that's the way that I look at myself when I'm working with my clients, is that I am the guide, someone who has figured things out a little bit ahead of them, even though I'm oftentimes younger than my clients. I've dedicated my life to the financial side so that I can help them get to where they want to be. And when they do, because of the hard work they put in, we both get to celebrate, because it's an amazing accomplishment.
It definitely is. It really is. Yeah. Be the hero to your own story.
Yep.
That's it.
And then be a guide in other people's stories.
That is it. That's the key right there. My win of the week is that I filled in the entire attic of insulation.
Ooh.
Yeah. It was.
Was it hot up there? I mean, it was not that bad.
No, it actually was. I wouldn't do it in the heat. It had to be like the right temperature. It was not bad. Okay. The heat was not bad. The actual
doing the work.
When I first got up into the attic, they got like the beams that hold up the roof and stuff, and then underneath is like the ceilings. You can't step on the ceiling, otherwise, you'll go through it. Yeah, and oh, dude, it was. I was nervous. Mm-hmm. I don't get nervous that often, but because I had to go all the way, because I filled it in the garage too, and that's one thing that I love. My dad and I decided to do was we should fill the garage with insulation. That way, it cools the garage down as well. Because why would you have half your house not insulated? It just doesn't make any sense. It never made any sense to us, so we insulated it. And we meaning I meaning Dom, and Dom meaning I was in the freaking back of this thing. Dude, it was so sketchy. It was really sketchy. Like, I'm in 3 layers of clothes and like protective gear. It's not the pink insulation that like, I'm all itchy and can't breathe. It's like paper insulation. It's like, I think it was like rock wool. It's not too bad, but it was tough. It was not easy, but thankfully I had my friend Thomas there. He was helping me fill it up, and Dad and his friend Jeff were downstairs with the hopper, like tearing the bags open, throwing them in the machine. We put about 40 bags out there.
Nice.
Or 40 bales. They're like, there's a lot.
Were you guys able to get the hopper for free?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice thing. So, quick trick, quick tip.
Yeah.
Typically, Home Depot and Lowe's, they'll let you have the hopper for free if you purchase, I think, more than 30 bales.
Yep.
So, trick is, even if you don't need 30 bales, purchase 30 bales, get the hopper for free, and then go and return the bales you didn't use.
And then if you buy 40, you get a discount as well. So it went from like, it was like $17 down to $14 per bale, which is like a really nice deal. So
I bet they would call the discount back if you were to try to return those.
Probably.
But you can definitely still get the hopper for free and return them later.
Yeah.
I've done that before.
It was good. It was good though. But yeah, I mean, the house is, it's quieter. It's more temperature resistant. I mean, being in Arizona, I need that. And the insulation, I mean, it's 25 years old. So, you know, it was
thinned out.
It was thinned out. Yeah. So we laid it on a thick up there. So, that's my win of the week. It was hard fought, but got it done.
Great job, man.
Yeah, it was good.
Well, financial enthusiasts, thank you so much for joining us here on 5 Friday Feedback. Today and this week, the biggest focus was dispelling the myths around financial independence, because on this journey, it will be difficult and you will run up against a wall. And my biggest concern for people was the moment they hit that first wall, they would give up financial independence because they realized that, this journey isn't easy. And there's one thing that you take away, is that the journey to financial independence, none of it is easy. Life is not meant to be easy. It is meant to be a struggle and to work hard, and for you to learn to accept that and be happy with the struggle, because the only way that we grow and learn is through struggle, is through arduous work. And that is part of the game. And that's what makes life so much fun. That's what allows you to grow and get farther faster.
Definitely. With that being said, I hope you tell a friend about the show. That's her little fee for the show. Tell a friend.
Not a little fee, it's a huge fee.
It's a huge fee. Tell a friend. Tell a family member. But yeah, if you enjoyed it, like it. If you're not already subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.
Later.
Peace.
This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the host and guests, not the podcast sponsor.
It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.